Do you think you're loving your dog the right way? Then why are there sad eyes and tails that no longer wag when you walk through the door? Did you know millions of dogs silently suffer every day? Not because they've been abandoned, but because of the familiar behaviors their owners assume are normal. I'm not saying this to make you feel guilty. I'm saying this because maybe, like me, you once thought that hugging your dog tightly was a way of showing love. But to your dog, it feels like being restrained, confined, misunderstood. We love dogs through our human emotions. But dogs speak a different language, and if we don't learn to listen, that love could end up hurting them. In this video, I'll join you in exploring 15 seemingly small things that might make your dog feel neglected or unloved. Especially number 12, a mistake even longtime dog owners often make without realizing it. So, if you truly want to understand and become the kind of owner your dog trusts every single day, then stay with me until the end of this video. Together, we'll not only learn how to make things right, but also how to love in the right way. 1. Docking. When you cut off a dog's tail, you're also cutting off its emotional voice. Can you imagine if someone cut off your hands and still expected you to communicate like nothing changed? To dogs, a tail isn't just a body part, it's an emotional language. A way they say, I'm happy, I'm scared, something's wrong, and yet, thousands of dogs each year have their tails docked for no other reason than aesthetic, to look tougher. Or simply because that's what this breed is supposed to look like. But to the dog, you've unintentionally taken away one of its most honest and instinctive forms of expression. They can't say, I'm scared, with words, only by tucking their tail. They can't smile, only wag their tail with joy when you come home. When the tail is gone, what's left is emotional confusion, anxiety, and a lonely feeling of not being understood. Don't call it love if the first thing you do is take away your loved one's ability to speak. If you ever thought tail docking was a small thing, try looking into the eyes of a dog who's lost its language, and you'll see that sadness needs no words. And it doesn't stop there. There's something almost everyone does unconsciously, but for a dog, it's pure terror. Let me tell you about it next. 2. Scolding. When you become frightening in the eyes of your most loyal friend. Have you ever yelled, "No," or "What do you think you're doing?" at your dog? At that moment, you might think you're teaching them a lesson. But to a dog, that shout isn't a warning. It's an emotional storm they simply can't understand. Dogs can't tell the difference between justified anger and temporary loss of control. All they feel is that you, the one they trust the most, suddenly seem dangerous. When you scold them, you stop being their safe place and instead become the source of their fear. Did you know? Many dogs, just hearing their owner raise their voice, will immediately tuck their tail, lie down, or avoid eye contact, not because they know they did something wrong, but because they're afraid you might hurt them again. Love doesn't have to be perfect. But if it makes someone feel afraid, then it's no longer love. If you truly want to teach your dog what's right, speak in a calm but firm, consistent, and loving voice. Be the person that makes their eyes light up, not out of fear, but out of trust. Because here's the thing. There are gestures of affection you think are cute, but to your dog, they feel like an attack. And chances are, you might be doing it every single day. 3. Hugging. Your hug could be an emotional chain for your dog. Do you love your dog so much that you just want to hug them tightly every time you come home? But to your dog, that hug doesn't feel like love, it feels like being held down. Unable to escape, unable to react. It's like someone grabs you tightly without saying a word, uncomfortable. Isn't it? In the world of dogs, hugging doesn't exist as a form of affection. On the contrary, it can actually be a sign of threat or dominance. A dog may hold its breath, lick its lips repeatedly, look away, or even stiffen up every time it's hugged, not because it's being obedient, but because it's enduring you out of fear. True love doesn't need to hold tight, it only needs to give enough space to feel safe. So if you really want to show affection, try a different approach. Gently scratch behind the ears, rub their chest, or simply sit quietly beside them. To a dog, those moments say, I'm loved, without being held down. And you know what? There's another trick that many people often play on their dogs. It might sound funny, but in reality, it chips away at their trust in you. Here's what it is. 4. Teasing. When playfulness leaves a crack in your dog's heart. Have you ever pretended to throw a ball, then hid it behind your back and laughed as your dog looked around? Searching? You find it funny, but to your dog, it's disappointment, confusion, and a slow fading of trust. To them, play is serious. It's a moment of connection, a time when they pour all their joy into something shared with you. But when you keep pretending, again and again, you're not just joking, you're teaching your dog that the fun of playing with you isn't real. Imagine this. Someone offers you your favorite food, then snatches it away just as you're about to take a bite. Not once, but 10 times. By the 11th time, would you still want to eat with that person? A dog's trust isn't built on grand gestures, but on the little things you don't take lightly. If you start a game, play it through. If you throw, really throw. Every time you play fairly is another brick in the wall of trust your dog builds with you. Because it only takes one more time, you turning away as they bring the ball back with eager eyes, for a small piece of their heart to quietly close. And if you think playtime is just about having fun, the next part might surprise you. Because sometimes, not playing at all is what hurts a dog the most. 5. Ignoring. When your dog's longing gaze is met with silence. Have you ever sat scrolling through your phone, lost in every message, while your dog sat quietly beside you, waiting for just a glance? You might think, they're so well behaved, just lying there. But to your dog, that's a moment of silent waiting. Every second filled with hope. My human will play with me. Right? Dogs don't ask for much. A glance, a gentle pat on the head, a soft call of their name, to them, that's the whole world. But if every day you're busy, or too tired, or in the middle of a show, eventually, that hopeful gaze turns empty. You'll notice your dog stops coming to you, not because they stop loving you, but because they've learned you don't have time for them anymore. The worst kind of loneliness isn't being alone, it's being next to someone you love, who doesn't even see you. So even if it's just 3 minutes a day, sit down, look your dog in the eyes, and call their name with a gentle voice. You'll be amazed how their eyes light up, like you've just given them the world. And if you think having little time is no big deal, the next part might make you reconsider. Because keeping your dog confined for too long doesn't just make them sad, it slowly withers their spirit. Day by day. 6. Confinement. When a place meant to be a safe haven becomes a lonely prison for your dog. The crate, what you may think of as your dog's safe resting space, could actually be the most isolating room in the world for them. Have you ever imagined being locked in an elevator, no light, no conversation, no idea when you'll be let out? It's no different for a dog. They were born to run, to sniff, to connect, and to love, not to lie still inside a box all day. Crate training is absolutely necessary for proper behavior development, but if you start using it as a solution for being too busy, or as a way to keep the house clean, you're turning a safe space into a prison. Over time, dogs become disconnected, depressed, behaviorally unstable. You'll see them scratching walls, barking mindlessly, or even refusing to come out because loneliness has become their new normal. Don't let the place where your dog sleeps become the place where they stop hoping. If your schedule is truly packed, set a specific time to play with them, or ask a family member, or even hire a dog walker. You don't have to be with them 24/7, but you do have to let them feel, I haven't been left behind. Because some of the deepest wounds don't come from harsh words or punishment, but from the quiet that never ends. And if you think, as long as they're eating and sleeping, they're fine, the next truth might leave you stunned. 7. Not understanding dog body language. When a cry for help is mistaken for a cute, shy look. Have you ever seen your dog with its ears down, licking its lips repeatedly, or turning its head away, and thought, "Ah, so cute, they must be feeling shy"? The truth is, no. That's not shyness. That's a cry for help. A dog's body is a map of emotions, but if you don't know how to read it, you'll easily overlook their most desperate signals. Ears pinned back mean fear. Lip licking isn't about food, it's a way to self-soothe. Avoiding eye contact signals anxiety, not playfulness. Dogs can't speak, but they're always trying to talk to you, with their bodies. Every single day. And if you don't understand them, eventually, they'll stop trying to speak at all. Love isn't measured by how much we cuddle, but by how much we understand the silent signals. Take time to learn your dog's language, just as you would with someone you deeply care about. Because once you can read their glances, their ear twitches, their gentle tail wags, you'll start to see the inner world they've always been trying to share. And once you truly understand, you'll never again say, "I didn't know my dog was stressed." But there's still one more thing, something seemingly small, yet quietly hurting your dog's sense of self. Day by day. 8. Scolding your dog in front of others, when dignity is crushed and trust starts to crack. Imagine you're at a party, and suddenly someone points at you and says loudly, "Stop doing that, it's embarrassing." How would you feel? Ashamed? Hurt? Humiliated? For dogs, that feeling is very real too. They may not understand the concept of saving face, but they feel the eyes, the tone of voice, and the atmosphere around them. When you scold or punish your dog in public, especially in front of strangers or at the park, you don't just confuse them. You begin to sever your connection with them. You might think, they need to be corrected right away. But what dogs need isn't to be put in their place, they need calm, respectful, one-on-one guidance. Even when disciplining a child, we try not to hurt their self-esteem. So why do we forget this when it comes to dogs? Instead of yelling, take your dog to a quiet spot, kneel down, and use your eyes, your hands, and your steady presence to communicate. When you protect your dog's dignity in front of others, you're telling them, "We're a team, I'll never let you be embarrassed." Because trust isn't built just through praise, it's also built in how you treat your dog when others are watching. But sometimes, it doesn't take a crowd to break trust, just one person, you. And what's coming next is a habit many people find adorable, but to dogs, it's a shattered dream. 9. Petting a sleeping dog, when a peaceful dream is disturbed by an unmindful touch. Have you ever watched your dog sleep deeply? Their legs twitching as if they're chasing some imaginary shadow in their dream? It's adorable, isn't it? And sometimes, you just can't help but gently stroke their back or whisper something sweet in their ear, just to show your love. But to a dog, sleep is a precious time for recovery, physically and emotionally. Being unexpectedly woken, even by a soft touch, can startle them, cause confusion, and sometimes even fear. Dogs have strong survival instincts. When they sleep, their minds don't switch off the way ours do. Touch them mid-dream, and they might suddenly jerk awake, growl, or worse, react defensively in ways you never expected. Love doesn't always need to be an immediate action. Sometimes, the purest form of love is knowing when to step back and let them rest. So just watch them from afar. Capture that adorable moment with your eyes, not with your hands. Because to a dog, being allowed to sleep peacefully, undisturbed, is the clearest sign that my human understands and respects me. But while sleep might be a place for dogs to escape the world, what's coming next is something they can't run from: fireworks. A sound that seems harmless to us, but can haunt a dog for life. 10. Fireworks, when every explosion shatters your dog's heart in panic. You've looked up at the New Year's fireworks and exclaimed, "So beautiful." But at that exact moment, your dog is hiding under the bed, trembling, their heart racing like the end of the world is near. To you, fireworks are joy. To your dog, they're a nightmare. Their survival instincts make them hypersensitive to loud sounds. Every explosion is a shockwave, an invisible signal screaming, "Danger is coming." You might think, they're just a little scared, it'll pass by tomorrow. But for many dogs, that fear accumulates into chronic stress, anxiety disorders, and even panic-driven behaviors that can lead to self-harm. You may see bursts of light in the sky, but in your dog's eyes, there's only darkness and the thunder of fear. So during festivals, don't forget to prepare a safe haven for your dog, maybe a small room with the door closed, soft music playing, and a cozy, familiar blanket. Be there with them, stroke them gently, if they're open to it, and speak in a soothing tone, like you're comforting a frightened child. Because to a dog, in the midst of terrifying noise, the only thing that brings safety is you. And if fireworks can break their heart in seconds, then forgetting one simple daily habit might hurt them even more. Because loving a dog isn't just about avoiding harm, it's about choosing to do what makes them truly happy. 11. Lack of daily routine, when a life without rhythm leaves your dog in confusion. Have you ever felt uneasy when your morning alarm didn't go off as usual? For dogs, that feeling is even more intense. They are creatures of habit, guided by their biological clock, their instinct for predictable routines. Yet so many of us, when we're busy or tired, end up feeding them late, walking them sporadically, or changing their environment without warning. You might think it's no big deal. But to a dog, that's a world thrown into chaos, with nothing certain to hold on to. When they don't know when they'll go out, when they'll eat, or when you'll be home, they start to grow anxious, bark without clear reason, or carry things around to comfort themselves. Dogs don't need you to be perfect, but they need you to be consistent. A small, repeated habit, like a bedtime, a feeding corner, a morning greeting, is what helps dogs feel safe, secure, and that they belong. Because when everything else in their world may change, all it takes is you keeping your word through daily actions for them to believe the world is still okay. Because my human is just like always. And once your dog believes in that sense of stability, don't let the next thing destroy it. Because if you only show love when your dog is good, that love turns into a painful transaction. 12. Only loving when your dog is good, when love becomes a reward with conditions. Today your dog lies quietly, doesn't chew anything, doesn't bark. You hug them, stroke their head, and say, "Good job, you've been such a good dog today." Tomorrow, they accidentally knock over a plant. You get upset, distant, and don't even look at them. And just like that, over time, you teach your dog one painful lesson. My human's love only comes when I'm perfect. Dogs don't understand the idea of unconditional love the way humans do. They feel it through your behavior. If you only show affection when they get it right, then to them, love becomes a contest, and if they don't score well, they're ignored. They begin to live in quiet anxiety, always watching you, always wondering, will I be loved today? And that is heartbreaking. Love isn't a prize to be handed out, it's a space for forgiveness, patience, and companionship. Love your dog even when they mess up, not by ignoring the mistake, but by guiding them, correcting gently, and still looking at them with that same softness in your eyes. Because only when you love even the imperfect parts of your dog, do you truly become the one their heart will trust forever. And if you've ever thought, at least I don't compare them to other dogs, be careful. Because what's coming next, though it seems harmless, might quietly wound their fragile sense of worth. 13. Comparing your dog to others. When admiring another becomes a scar in your own dog's heart. Look at that dog, it can shake hands, roll over, even bring its owner slippers. Have you ever said something like that, even jokingly, when you saw another dog that seemed better behaved, more talented, or simply more your type? Dogs may not understand your words, but they feel the way you look at another. They hear the tone of your voice, and they sense the subtle comparisons you make. Day after day, you might think it's motivation, but to your dog, it's rejection. It's a message that says, I'm not enough. I'm not someone my human is proud of. From there, they begin to withdraw. They stop engaging, stop running to greet you with joy. Not because they love you less, but because they're afraid of letting you down again. Love isn't about finding the perfect dog. It's about seeing the perfection in the dog you already have. Every dog has their own personality, their own learning pace, and their own way of showing affection. When you stop comparing, that's when you'll truly start seeing the unique beauty your dog alone carries. And the most beautiful part? Once they know they're fully accepted, they'll always try their best for you, not out of fear of comparison, but from genuine love. But if love runs that deep, what happens when you forget the one thing that connects your souls the most, your voice? 14. Not talking to your dog every day. When silence slowly fades the bond between you. Do you remember the last time you called your dog's name, not to command them, but simply because you love them? We often say, they're part of the family, but throughout a long day, how many times do you actually talk to your dog like you would to someone you truly care about? Dogs don't understand every word you say, but they understand your tone, your emotion, and the presence in your voice. Every time you speak their name, to them, it's a moment their heart lights up with. I'm seen. I'm connected. I'm loved. But if day after day you only speak to command, sit, quiet, crate, then over time, your voice stops being the sound of love and becomes a cold control signal. And one day, you might notice your dog doesn't lift their head when you speak, not because they can't hear, but because they no longer hear any love in your voice. Dogs don't need you to say the right words, they just need you to speak from the heart. So each morning, say hello. Each night, tell them one small thing about your day. Call their name like you're whispering to an old friend. You'll witness something magical: softer eyes, gentler tail wags, and a heart that feels lighter than ever. Because there's one thing dogs always do, no matter how busy you are, or how upset they make you, they still watch you, follow you, love you, with every breath. And if you don't realize that, then this final mistake might be the most heartbreaking of all. Because sometimes, all they need is a little space to call their own. 15. Not creating a space of their own, when everyone has a place to belong, except your dog. You have a workspace, a favorite spot on the couch, a familiar bed to return to each night, right? But what about your dog? Many people think they can sleep anywhere. The floor's clean. But to a dog, a space isn't just for lying down. It's where they feel safe. They need a place of their own, where no one steps over them. No sudden noises startle them. No one takes their spot. A small bed, a cozy blanket in the corner, a sheltered nook to curl up when they're tired or anxious. Without that space, dogs stay alert, never fully able to rest. And worse, they may start hiding under tables or behind appliances, not because they prefer it, but because they have nowhere else to feel like they belong. Everyone needs a little place to just be themselves, even creatures as seemingly cheerful as dogs. A simple mat, a soft rug, placed in a quiet part of your home, could be the biggest emotional gift you ever give your dog. And when they choose to go there on their own to rest, smile, because you've done something beautiful. You gave them a sense of belonging, not just in your family, but in this world. And there we have it, 15 seemingly harmless things that could quietly wound the heart of a dog in ways we never realized. If you're still here, reading to this very line, then I already know you're a wonderful dog parent. Because love doesn't have to be perfect, it only needs to be genuine and willing to learn how to love better each day.